What's up guys, I'm back with another Emblem creation video, this time Mewtwo. So this time I'm going to choose to walk you through it a bit. It's a little bit more complicated than a sports logo because with this emblem I'm involving perspective a little bit, meaning it's not just going to be Mewtwo standing there, it's going to be Mewtwo holding his hand out with whatever energy thing he has about ready to blast the viewer really. So yeah, it's what I'm gonna do, and I'll get started. So right now, I'm just making his head. This is like the bottom portion of his head. The tip of that, the tip of the not the pentagon, but the other tool that I used, the first tool, is his nose, and you'll see that in a second. And the pentagon just serves as his jaw. Basically, it serves to separate like his nose from his jaw. And note that the pentagon's position right now isn't its final position. I'm going to tweak it a little bit, which honestly I'm going to be doing throughout the video to some of the tools that I might have already laid out. For instance, like the eyes, I'll create the eyes here in a second, or not the eyes, just one eye. I'm viewing the side of his face. Anyway, I'm going to create that, and later I'm going to go back and change it. I'm going to just tweak it a little bit. I'm going to make it probably a little bit smaller than I first make it. So keep that in mind. That'll be around the 650 mark. I might have already said that. Okay, and there's the eye as you see. And again, I'm going to go and tweak that a little bit later. Also, I'm going to make the, in a second here, I'm going to make the, not the pupil of the eye, but I guess the cornea, the colored part of the eye. And that's going to be it. You might think it looks weird for a little bit, but don't worry, because much later in the video I'm going to make it so that there's like energy emanating from the eye. So don't worry about giving detail to the eye at all. It will be corrected. Right now I'm making the back of Mewtwo's ear, like the back ear, the ear farthest from us. And you can see I separated that ear from the top of the head with just a little shadow. It's a really great trick, not only to make the drawing look better, but to just make it work. Like it not only makes it look more professional, but it serves definite purpose. Imagine if I didn't have that little shadow, it would, the head would blend into the ear and it would look like he has a weird bump on his head. Yeah. And that's really a tip to use whenever creating like any type of logo or emblem really, that's not some sort of sports logo or flat logo, is that you can use shadows to separate things from one another, not necessarily like solid black lines. Even though I'm making a cartoon character here, I'm not using solid black lines to separate everything. I just use some well-placed shadows. And as you can see, I just did that with the neck. So okay, now I think it should get a little bit trickier. I think I'm about to start the hand, and what that's going to involve is 3 circles, or like I guess ovals, not perfect circles. Don't use perfect circles. Distort it a little bit, like swish it down a little bit, and then obviously lay them out how I'm going to have them, and you're going to start to see really where this drawing is going once I get the hand in there. Of course, right now it kind of looks out of place, but once I shade it, again going back to the shading thing, once I do that, it'll really bring things together. So those, as you might know, are his 3 fingers, and what's going on is he's holding out his hand, pointing it towards the camera, or not really camera, but you know what I'm saying, and he's pointing his 3 fingers just right at you. Also notice it's probably hard to tell because it's so subtle, but for his body, for Mewtwo's body and his head, I used the bottom purple. So it's basically I used the color that is on the bottom of the color palette from the left. That's what I used for his body and his neck and his head. But with his hands, I used the bottom color third from the left. So not fourth from the left, but third from the left for his hands. And the only reason I did that was to just kind of give the hand a little bit of implicit separation from the body. So, you know, I guess I could have like had some nicely placed shadows, but that would have wasted a little bit of layers that I didn't want to do. So I made it a little bit different color from the head. And as you can see, I just I just shaded the hands, and now you probably definitely see where this is headed, and it's looking a lot better than it did a minute ago. Right now, that thing that I'm distorting right now is, you might know this again if you know Mewtwo a little bit. It's not his tail, but it is his, I don't know what you call it, because nothing on Earth really has this, but it's like a little tube that connects his head to his back. Yeah, so just know that is not his tail, it's his head back tube. And again, I'm going to use a well-placed shadow to separate that from his head. So here's the shadow I'm going to use for the head. Also, by the way, to create shadows, you should already know this. I've been doing it the whole video. I probably should have told you earlier. You just make the color dark gray, and then you change the opacity using the bumpers, the right or left bumper, and you'll have a nice shadow. Same with the highlight, but instead of using black, obviously for the highlight you use white. So. Right now I'm making a highlight actually. It's a little cheek highlight, and again just make that little smiley thing white, stretch it out a little bit, and lower the opacity to, I think I lowered it to around 50 or something. You can pause in the video and check it out. Okay, what I'm doing right now is creating basically, like, you think of it as energy. It's like, I'm trying to create like sort of like a harsh energy type thing that's supposed to be emanating from the back of his fingers. And the way I do it is I use obviously that scribble, and I create 3 of them, and I put each one behind its own finger. And also I make them all a little bit different colors. They're all somewhat like purplish blue, but I make them different colors just for a little bit of variety. And for the finger down and to the right, for the finger in the bottom corner, I make the energy behind that one more purple than the others so that you can see it against the black background. Hopefully that makes sense. For the energy emanating from the eyes, right there, you can use either like hair piece. That's what I call them, hair pieces. I used, obviously that's the final one, but I showed you a second earlier that you could use the other one. And yeah, you just make that dark. It's like dark purplish blue. That's the color I like. Of course, for those you can use really any like purplish color, bluish color. That's totally up to you. but I like the ones I used. And yeah, so you choose that and make it a bit opaque, obviously. So for the next couple minutes of this video, what you'll see me doing is, because you know, obviously 31 out of 32 layers are complete, what you're going to see me doing is tweaking a lot of little things right after I make this last kind of overall shade. By the way, the way you do this, it's really weird. The way you're supposed to do what I'm doing right now is you blow up that very image I used and you make it concave, and you kind of lay it across the screen, make it, you know, blow it up really large and make it concave, and you just keep blowing it up and distorting it a little bit, like squishing it and blow it up some more and squish it and blow it up some more and squish it, and eventually the edge will become a little fuzzy, which is what I was going for. And you can see the overall shade that I've already laid down. It's a little bit fuzzy around the edges, which is weird. I don't know why it has that effect, but it does. And yeah, it's pretty great. And once you, and again, it has to be the concave side of that figure at first, which is weird. It has to be the concave side first, and then once you blow it up and squish it enough to where it's fuzzy, you can turn it with your right or left triggers, and then it'll make it convex, which is the way it is now. And yeah, funny thing that you can do, but it's what a great effect, I think. Alright, well, that about does it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'm still taking suggestions, anything from cartoon figures to NFL logos to maybe I could try some real life people, maybe different logos, maybe superhero logos. I don't know. Yeah, later.